I'm trying to connect to my Instagram live feed. Hopefully, Jimmy_0. Thank you for joining in. So we're live on my IG live feed and we're live on my YouTube feed. Hello everyone. Hello Henry_the Great 2000. Thank you for joining in. Hello everyone. This is Life's Journey with Benedicta. And thank you all for waiting for us to come on. I had a bit of a challenge with my YouTube connection. I don't know what happened with my device, but thankfully everything is sorted out now and I'm live on my YouTube. Remember, this is Life's Journey. We're here live every Saturday, 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 p.m. West African time. And what is this show all about? We're here to discuss issues in life, challenges that we have faced at some point in our lives or the other, and how we have been able to overcome them. So I'm trying to get reconnected on my Instagram live feed. So please bear with me. Each time I sense there is a disconnection on either of my platforms, I'm going to try to get back up so we don't lose anything. And on today's topic, we are going to be discussing, or rather, I am going to be discussing with you all most of the frequently asked questions that I have to answer post my divorce. When I say post my divorce, from the day I filed, from the day I put in that paperwork letting my ex know that the marriage is over and I want to move on with my life. There are so many situations that will begin to arise, different scenarios, different situations that you will find yourself in that you will have to address. So most of the time, women would ask me, when Benedicta, when you decided to file for a divorce, what was the reaction from your ex like? What were the first steps you took prior to filing, and after you filed, what were the first steps that you took? I have a lot of these questions. I've been having a lot of these questions for the past God knows how many years. Sometimes I'm so busy, I don't even know where to start from. So I decided to do this topic today to try to answer some of these questions. A lot of us have made up our minds to file for a divorce and move on with our lives. But how do we really move on? That is a bigger challenge than actually filing those papers. Filing those papers and serving those papers is actually easier than moving on with your life after you have filed. So whether you are the one that filed for the divorce or you were on the receiving end, life still goes on. And so how do you handle all the questions asked? How do you deal with friends? How do you deal with relatives? How do you deal with your partner that you just recently separated from? I'm going to read some of the questions. I'm not going to be treating all today, but I'm going to discuss some of the most frequently asked questions. And I know that a lot of you that have been on this path, that have been on this journey, a lot of you that are divorcees, you filed for a divorce, or you're still in the process of filing for a divorce, you would often get these questions. Sharon from Chicago asked, she said, when you came to the realization that your marriage was over, did you have to plan your exit or did you just leave? When I came to the realization that my former marriage is over? Did I actually plan for it, or did I just leave? Now, one thing I'd like us to know is this. Before you actually file, the relationship at some point in time must have been over in your heart. It must have been over in your head. You must have been sick and tired of putting in all your best and it isn't working. It is difficult for, or almost impossible for anyone to sleep and wake up and suddenly have a brainwave that, oh, I don't like the fact that my partner is snoring, I'm filing for a divorce. Or I don't like the fact that my partner came home late last night, I'm filing for a divorce. It's a lot of events combined together that actually leads one to that point where you know that you are filing. When you come to the realization that everything has been done and it isn't working. So at that point when you know that this is it, you have really tried everything in your bid to salvage your relationship, to salvage your union, and it isn't working, and you now want to file. You begin to plan your exit. It is only natural, whether we say it to ourselves that we actually plan for our exit or we want to live in denial that we never planned. I'm going to tell you that in your subconscious, from the moment you have decided to leave that relationship, to leave that marriage, you have actually started planning. So in my own case, I started planning. I didn't just wake up one morning and I decided, oh, my former marriage was over and I wanted to go. No, I had to plan. I had to think about how I wanted to continue with my work, how I wanted to raise my children, how I wanted to co-parent with my ex, how I'm going to sort out the financial issues as regards my children's tuition, my children's welfare, and all of those things. Because like I always tell people, when you are in a marriage and you have children, both partners actually bring the finances for the welfare of the children and for the running of a home. But once you decide to file for a divorce, especially here in Nigeria, where the women don't get much from the courts, they get little or nothing from the courts. If you're not careful, what you even have might be bullied from you, might be taken away forcefully from you, depending on how contentious your divorce is. So you have to factor in so many instances. You're leaving the marriage, your children have to be catered to, their welfare, their education, and so many other things. So you can't just get up and leave. You have to plan. You have to plan your finances. You have to plan where you want to live. In civilized countries, when the marriage is over, the man most of the time would leave the house for the woman, especially where children are involved. He is going to leave the home for the woman and the children, and subsequently they can decide to sell the home and split the proceeds or vice versa. But here in Nigeria, the woman usually leaves most of the time. So as a woman, you have to start planning where you want to live. Do you want to relocate out of the country? Do you want to relocate to another state? Do you want to relocate to another local government? Do you want to move back into your parents' home? You have to plan where you want to stay. You have to plan your finances. In my own situation, I had to plan the welfare of my children because I knew that my ex was not going to give me the divorce easily. He told me that he wasn't going to give me a divorce, that he wasn't interested in it. I was the one that filed. So I knew before I moved out that I was going into a contentious divorce battle where I'm going to have to fight for a very long time before my divorce comes true. And that is exactly what happened. It took me 9 years and 2 months to get my divorce, because for the first 2 years while I was in the court, I was just the one going to the court. My ex wasn't coming to the court because he said he wasn't coming and he didn't show up. So for the first 2 years, I was just going to the court all by myself. So if you are asking me, second question I got was, oh, was he willing, was he interested in giving me the divorce? The answer is no, he wasn't interested in giving me the divorce. So I had to fight for it. So if you are in a divorce situation, or you're in the process of filing for your divorce and your partner is not willing to give you that divorce, it doesn't mean you should quit. It only means it's going to take a much longer time for you to get that divorce. It's going to take a longer time. Imagine going to the courthouse for 2 years alone. The person you have issued the divorce papers is not even showing up, and he's not being represented. Because it is one thing for you not to show up, and then the person is being represented by his or her attorney. But if the person is not showing up and the attorney isn't showing up, my darling, that divorce is going to drag. So question number 2 was he willing to give you the divorce? The answer is no. He wasn't willing to give me the divorce. He said he wasn't giving me the divorce, and he made sure he didn't show up in court for the first 2 years. So imagine going to the courthouse alone, all by yourself, paying for legal bills. Just keep going, because that is what you want. Okay, so that is how it is in some cases, not in all cases. In my own case, and remember, today's topic, I am treating frequently asked questions. So for the lady from Chicago that asked me that question, that is the answer to it. I had to plan my exit because I had children to feed. I had children's tuition to pay. I had to relocate to another house that was conducive for my children, because bringing them out from the home they were used to, I had to give them a home that had some semblance to the home that they were living. Example, water heater, 24 hours light, internet facility, DSTV, you know the works. So you can't bring kids from that kind of environment and then you don't give them something similar to what they're used to. That is going to affect them psychologically. So there is a lot of planning to be done. So if you are planning to file for a divorce, my darling, you can't just wake up and leave, especially when children are involved. There is a lot of planning to be done. Some people plan, and as soon as they put in the paperwork, they leave the country entirely. They change their location because they cannot bear to answer all the questions being asked by family, friends, by loved ones, and by haters alike. You know, it's a lot of emotional trauma. So if you know you really can't deal with all the question and answering session, you just might want to relocate. As soon as you put in those papers, you might want to relocate and have your attorney, your lawyer, defend you in court. So in my own case, because children were involved and I knew from the get-go that I was going into a contentious divorce suit where my ex-partner or my ex-husband wasn't willing to give me a divorce, I knew I had to plan. A lot of planning had to be done, okay? Remember, it is way easier for you if you are divorcing as a single woman or as a single man, where children are involved and you want to have joint custody or sole custody. A lot of planning is involved. In my own case, I wanted joint custody, and that's what I put in my court document. I wanted joint custody where the children can feel free to see their father chaperoned. Okay, I wanted that. That was what I put in. So that depends on what you want. If you want joint custody, you want sole custody, all of this are going to determine how you plan for your exit. Okay? So, Sharon from Chicago, I hope I have been able to answer your question. Your question was, when you came to the realization that your marriage was over, did you have to plan your exit or did you just leave? And I've just answered that. I had to plan my exit. I had to plan my exit over and over and over again. I planned it so much that I just left with the children, leaving most of my prized possessions. I didn't even go out with most of my things because I didn't want to cause a stir. I just wanted to live with my kids. That way I'll be in a safe environment to plan for further things that might come up. So plan you must if you plan on exiting, okay? Now, for Hope from Miami, was your ex-husband the kind of man that would put up a fight as you walked out the door? Yes, he put up a fight when he knew I was leaving because he didn't want the divorce. I filed, I instituted it. So it doesn't matter who puts up the fight or not. What matters is what you want. And if you know that what you're doing is in your own best interest, you have to stick to it and see it through. So there are no hard and fast rules. What matters is you know what's best for you, you know what you want, and you just have to do what you know is in your own best interest. But at the same time, try as much as you can to consider the children. Any day, any time, I would always advise that both parties continue to co-parent when children are involved. No matter what you're going through, the battle should just be between you and your ex. Co-parenting should continue with your children. So Sheyi from New York said, in your divorce agreement, do you have co-parenting with your ex? In my own divorce agreement, I opted for co-parenting. That's what I filed for. That was what I filed for. So you can choose to do that, and you can choose to do what works best for you. Now, do you still have, Shani from St. Lucia said, do you still have struggles concerning your past, and how do you work through them if you do have them? Like I would tell people, your past would always be a part of your present. You can't entirely do away with your past, in the sense that you might no longer dwell in the past, but because you still have memories of your past, they will still come to in control. It is your past. So you choose to let it go, or you choose to dwell in it. I choose to move on, and the only way you can move on is letting go of your past as much as you can. You can never really grow as a person if you're holding on to your past. So at some point in life, you have to let go of your past so you can start creating new memories. You can start creating great memories, especially if you know that you have a lot of memories in your past that you'd rather not remember, or you'd rather not dwell in. It is left for you to start creating new memories. New memories, because that is so you can be in a place that you feel is befitting for you. So in order for you to do that, you just have to encourage yourself to let go of your past so you can create new memories, so you can move on, forge on in life, and become a better version of yourself. So yes, sometimes you struggle with memories of your past. Sometimes you blame yourself for getting there or allowing yourself to go through what you go through. Sometimes you beat yourself up for allowing yourself to have gotten so low. But if you grow and you want to move on in life, you cannot continue to blame yourself. You cannot continue to dwell in your past. At some point in time, you have to let it all go. Forgive yourself and give yourself. So, this is some of the questions. Like I said, there are lots of questions here, but I'm not going to be treating all the questions today. Maybe I might still treat some next week. But before I start discussing and asking questions or inviting anyone that has similar experiences to share with us, there was a question that I was asked by John from Trinidad. He said, after a terrible relationship or marriage for men and for women, sometimes it takes a long time to gain your trust, or how long you are to love again. Some people were so badly bruised that they rather not start another relationship. They never ever want to be in another relationship, ever. They find it difficult to trust anyone after being brutally hurt the last time. It can happen for you within a year. It can happen for you within 6 months. It can happen for you in 10 years' time. It varies. All I'm going to tell you is take your new beginning a day at a time. It's a new beginning. It's like a new world. It's a new day. It's a new dawn. So just take it a day at a time. Don't rush it. Don't set unattainable goals for yourself. You're only going to fall. So take it a day at a time. Let your mind and your heart decide. Time, they say, heals all wounds. So there is nothing, there is no pain that time cannot heal. Just give yourself some time to heal, and all will be well with you. So Kingsley doth repent. A man with 2 wives, can he divorce one and stay with one? First of all, I wouldn't know if that is not a possibility in that is a possibility in our customary law system. You can have 2 wives, but in the high court, you cannot marry 2 women at every given point in time. That means you in the customary court in our African traditional wedding ceremony, where you can have more than 1 wife. So if you now have 2 wives, I believe according to your custom or your tradition, you can divorce one and still continue to be with one, but not with the high court system. You can't have 2 wives and choose to divorce one. Score on the Ghana says, many likes in the hopes may change his or mind. I say, stand your ground and move forward with your plans, as people never change. Exactly. That is why I also say that before, nobody just wakes up and files for a divorce. For you to file for a divorce, you must have been thinking even before I filed, because it didn't work. So just wake up and you just have not you holding on to some tired, and at the end of the day, still don't get the person. So what was the whole point? You still lost. You still lost because the person didn't come back to you. Your husband didn't come back to you. Your wife didn't come back to you, despite how you tried to delay the whole process. You ended up losing. Okay. So why did you just move? Why did you file? If you know it's going to take this long, why did you? I believe in doing things the legal way. I believe in finishing whatever it is that I start. Personally, I don't give up. When I start something, I'm on a course. I face it to the finish line. So that was why I persevered for as long as I did, because I had to get to the fine. So thank you for joining in. So these are some of the questions that I am frequently asked concerning post-divorce and how I survived. Every day you keep surviving. It is not something you can wish away and say, you know what, it never happened. I can't even remember that something like that happened. Oh yes, it did happen. Oh yes, every day I walk away from all that experience. Every day I create a new me, a new future, a brighter future, a better place for myself. So it's a work in progress. And for those of you that have been on this journey, that have been on this path, that have gone through this divorce, I know you can relate with some of the things that I have discussed. And for those of you that are willing to take a plunge because you have tried everything humanly possible to salvage your union and it isn't working, these are some of the challenges that you will be faced with. But I'm here to tell you that they are mere challenges, just like with all challenges in life. They are surmountable. They are not easy while you're in it and going through it, but they are surmountable. You can do it if you know that that is the only option that you have. I would advise you to pursue it till the end, until you get a result. But remember, like I always say, fight for your relationship, fight for your marriage until there is nothing left to fight for. Don't just have a brain wave and say, oh, it is over, I want to file for a divorce. No. Ensure that you have fought for it, you have done everything humanly possible, and it isn't working. Then you can file for that divorce and pursue it till the very end, because it is worth it. Your freedom is worth it. Your happiness is worth it. Your mental health is worth it. You need to be happy. You need to live a fulfilled life. You need to be free. You need to be everything that you were meant to be. No man or woman has the right to hinder you from becoming all that you can be. And remember, your partner, your husband, your wife has to be that support structure. Pushing the world pushes you down. If you're not in that type of relationship, or you're not experiencing that type of relationship, then you are in a toxic relationship. Do something about it while you can. Thank you for joining in, and see you same time next week on Life's Journey. Remember, we have loads of topics that we have treated prior to this time. You might want to go on our YouTube channel and catch up with all of those topics. It is www.youtube.com/Tastebudzng. Remember to subscribe if